Welcome to Community Wellness 342EL. This is Professor Levy. Today's discussion will be culture more than ethnicity. The learning outcomes for today's presentation will be to look at the concept of culture from a different perspective, identify characteristics of the deaf culture, and providing culturally sensitive care to the deaf population and patients with a service dog. Throughout this presentation, I will share with you my experiences as a nurse educator who is deaf and works in the classroom and clinical setting with a service dog. In the American deaf culture, the community uses labels for identifying its members. These labels reflect cultural values, beliefs, and self-identity. Deaf with a big D refers to members who share common values, norms, traditions, behaviors, and language. The language is American Sign Language, commonly referred to and abbreviated as ASL. Deaf people do not perceive themselves as having lost something and disabled. To sum it up, it is not a hearing loss, it is a deaf gain. Deaf with a little d refers to individuals describing themselves as hard of hearing or deafened and do not see themselves as members of the deaf community. Some may know sign language, but their primary language is English. I fall into the latter category because my primary language is English. However, I do identify with the deaf culture, especially when I'm with my friends. Therefore, I struggle between two worlds, the world of hearing and the world of non-hearing. I must also tell you that I am discriminated against daily. For example, I have been told that I do not look deaf. My question to you is, what does a deaf person look like? Moving forward, hearing impaired. This term is used by society in general to refer to individuals with a hearing loss. A more acceptable phrase would be deaf and hard of hearing. This way you're referring to all individuals with a hearing loss. Within the deaf culture, the term hearing impaired is offensive because it suggests that the deaf person is broken, inferior, or not as sane as the individual with or who can hear. May I also interject first-person language? What I mean by this is I am not a deaf nurse educator. I am a nurse educator who is deaf. Put the person first before the disability. The last label is hearing. Within the deaf culture, the term hearing is used to identify people who are the majority of the American culture. In the deaf culture, hearing is related to the ability to speak. Culture can be described by major attributes as listed here on the slide. For the next activity, identify major attributes of your culture. Once your list is completed, advance to the next slide and compare them to the deaf culture. Let's compare your cultural attributes to those within the deaf culture. Are you surprised? Any similarities or differences? For more information, go to deafculture.com. What is deaf culture? The link is provided to you in the previous slide. This source has wonderful information on the deaf culture. Now let's shift our focus to communicating to an individual who is deaf. A person who is deaf may accurately lip read less than 30% of the time. American Sign Language, ASL, is a complete and complex language. It is a spatial language. Finger spelling is only reserved for proper nouns or unknown signs for the object. ASL is not a universal language. English is a foreign language to an individual who is deaf. ASL is a three-dimensional and gestorial language based on grammatical syntax of time, noun, adjective, and verb. For example, a healthcare provider may state, "You may need synthroid medication." In ASL syntax of time, noun, and verb, the deaf person may interpret this incorrectly as, "In May, I will need synthroid medication." So how can we provide culturally sensitive care to the deaf population? The first step in the process is to become aware of the deaf culture and address your communication biases. Recognize that it is not a hearing loss, but a deaf gain. Be very cognizant of your body language and effective use of touch and communication. When working with an individual who is deaf, you need to maintain good eye contact. You need to let them know that you are leaving the room before you leave the room. And to get their attention, it is perfectly okay to touch them on the shoulder. In addition, you need to use ASL interpreters, and your client may have a service dog by their side. We are now going to talk about the etiquette used for clients with service dogs that is applicable to all populations. As you know, I have a hearing service dog, and if you'd like to see a picture of us together, go to my bio that is linked to this course. A hearing service dog is trained to assist the deaf or hard of hearing individual by alerting them to sounds in the home or outside in the community. A service dog is not a pet, and they live to work. Aussie is trained to respond to door knock, doorbell, intruder door, intruder window, alarm clock, phone, timer on the stove, smoke detector, etc. Aussie hears the sound, paws me, and then takes me to the sound. Training of a service dog is done by positive reinforcement. Let's talk about etiquette with a service dog. Do not touch, feed, or call the dog by their name while they are working. If the service dog comes up to you while they are working, fold your arms in front of you and look away. Do not interact with them at all. They need to work, not play. In the classroom, the teacher or student need to educate the class about the service dog's role and etiquette around them. This is also applicable in the clinical setting. Provide the owner with access to water and an area for the dog to take a break. If the class or appointment runs longer than an hour and a half, provide breaks so that the owner can attend to possible needs of the dog. If the person is carrying a physically heavy load, assist them with the items. Do not offer to take the dog's leash. Here's some legal information in regards to service dogs. Service dogs and their owner are entitled to access to any public building or transportation service under the ADA. Dogs assisting a person with a disability are recognized as service dogs. Therapy dogs are not a service dog and are not covered by the ADA. Service dogs can travel anywhere in the United States as long as they have a recent certificate of health. Service dogs are exempt from extra fees that a non-service dog would be charged, for example, like a dog license. Airplane. A service dog travels at the feet of their owner and can never be stowed. Hotel deposits for having a dog. Owners of a service dog are responsible for all damages that might occur with the service dog and all of their upkeep. Denying access to a service dog is punishable under law that could include jail time and a fine. Proof of certification is not required, but many organizations who train service dogs provide an ID card for the owner. A service dog generally wears a harness or vest when working in public. Here's a picture of my first service dog. His name was Alex. He gave me 10 years of faithful service. Please note that Alex and Aussie have both accompanied me to surgery in pre-op, and they were there in post-op for me. Believe it or not, discrimination does exist against individuals with service dogs. I've provided a link for you that I would like for you to watch. It is a YouTube video. After watching it, move on to the next slide.